Warning, this podcast, website, and associated social media accounts are intended for audiences of legal drinking age. We do not advocate overconsumption or the abuse of alcohol. Never drink and drive, drink responsibly. And please remember to always take what we say with a grain of salt. After all, we are just some dudes with some brews.
We started out by crawling out from under the thumb of the man. The lovers of God with dad bods, just trying to feed our fam. Go sit right there and grab a beer, you know just what to do. Throw it back, get hammered, and listen to dudes and brews.
All right, Jason, man, I appreciate you sitting down with me today. Just wanted to get to know you guys a little bit more. So I want to get a history of your background. So first off, what I like to always ask is, what is your craft beer origin? How did you get into craft beer in general?
Well, probably the first craft beer, if you want to call it that, I ever tried was, almost 30 years ago. Would have been a Guinness Extra Stout.
Okay.
That's the first beer I tried that wasn't a light lager,
Yeah.
So, at that point I went, oh wow, there's something else out there in beer besides just that, and I started to try every beer that I could find. At that point, I kind of started investigating it, and it was like, oh wow, people can make beer,
Right,
and so ever since then, I tried to make my own beer and just didn't give up until now.
Okay. So just because of trying craft beer made you go, hey, I need to try to make this myself?
Oh yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah.
What did you start with?
Well, I inherited some gear from a friend of mine.
Nice.
Who was kind of had it in his garage and stuff like that. So,
Helps the pocketbook a little bit.
Yeah. So he said, hey, you want to brew? Here's some equipment to brew with, and so I made, like everybody does just about, I made my first extract batch,
Okay,
and
nice.
It turned out really nice, and, kept on going.
Sounds like you had way better luck than I did.
Oh, really?
I bought a kit online and tried an extract batch. I started with like 1 gallon batches, and I did a version of I think it's called Moose Drool.
Oh yeah.
I did it. It was from Northern Brewer. It was their version of it, and it just, I don't know if I did something wrong or if honestly, I don't think I like a brown ale.
It didn't turn out.
It
like
wasn't great, but it didn't deter me because I kept trying.
Yeah.
So how did that hobby evolve into wanting to do it commercially?
Well, and I will say I was lucky enough to have a local homebrew shop to help guide me through that process, right?
Oh, for sure.
Now that a lot of the brick and mortars have gone out of business or, just got old and gave up, it's, of course, there's plenty of information out there on the internet now, but, back in the, mid-90s when I started this, it was a different situation. You had to seek information differently, but like I said, we had plenty of a good little group there to mentor us, at that point. And we're lucky to have a local homebrew shop down here in Sherman now, Kettle to Keg, right? So what made me want to do it professionally? I don't know. I mean, I'm a software engineer by trade, and I kind of decided at one point or another, hey, what I want to do, I'd like to give it a go. I was doing a lot of the same beer over and over in my garage, and we tried to achieve some consistency and figure out if that was something that I could perhaps pursue as a commercial business one day. And then that went by the wayside for about 5 years. I stopped brewing for a little bit of time, and then got introduced to I have 2 business partners in the brewery, and got introduced to those guys. We made a batch of beer out of my partner's farm, and that turned out well. And so they said, hey, do you want to start a brewery? And I said, well, yeah, I guess so, but I like fast cars and, ponies and stuff that costs money too,
Yeah.
So, starting a brewery is very capital intensive.
Yeah.
So, we all made that decision to go ahead and get started with it.
Oh, nice. So that's one thing that I need to do more myself is brew the same thing over and over again. I've been brewing for a while now, 5 or 6 years, and I think I've made the same beer once maybe.
Yeah.
It's a blonde that I've just done more than once, but was there any beer that you kind of crafted on your own that you brought commercially?
Yeah, all of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all of these, even the ones that are just brewery exclusives, you've brewed on your own? Oh,
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, some version of that. Yeah.
Right.
So I have that experience to draw from, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean,
nice.
Probably like 25 years of brewing, with a couple hiatuses in there, right? But,
Right.
usually every few weeks I would brew.
Okay,
So
I gotcha. So taking a little bit of a step back, what was the inspiration behind the name Say When?
Oh, Say When Brewing Company. Obviously, it's it's Doc Holliday's catchphrase from Tombstone, the movie.
Say when.
Right.
Doc Holliday had an office down in downtown Denison
Oh, cool.
for a period of time, and here in Denison we have the Doc Holliday Festival, and we lay claim to Doc Holliday as our mascot kind of
Right.
here in Denison. So I thought if we're gonna start a brewery here in Denison, let's plug into that tradition.
No, and I totally get that. I love it because I love that you have the logo has Doc Holliday mixed into it, which I did not notice that at first. But I love that in particular aspect as well. So not only the logo, but the name. Now I know that when you guys first started, you didn't have the tap room open, and there's a buddy of mine that specifically loved he called it your marketing genius, if you will, where everywhere he went locally, you just saw your core 3 beers on tap. So even though you didn't have a brewery open, it's like you guys were everywhere that he wanted to drink beer in town. Was that something that you guys did intentionally as far as just getting your name out there, or was it like more of a, hey, we don't kind of have the funds just yet to open the tap room?
So if anybody's out there and they want to start a brewery, a small brewery, my advice is not to open a distribution-only business and to open a tap room first. That's the margins are much better, and it's a lot easier to make ends meet doing that. We had an issue with the building department here in town. They said, hey,
gotcha.
it was a funding issue. It was like, hey, we're going to have to, do fire suppression in the whole building and stuff like that to get people in here. So, so we kind of had no choice. If we were going to start a brewery, what we're going to do is start a distribution business. And we did that. Subsequently, the fire marshal actually changed. And so the new person looked at the NFPA code and said, hey, you can open your tap room, you're fine to do that. So we said, let's hurry up and do that before they change their mind back.
Right, exactly.
So that's really what drove a lot of that decision making.
Awesome. Okay. So it seems like you still only have your core 3 out for distribution.
That's right. We do a seasonal. I did a Marzen.
Yeah, I remember that.
That we did distribute. But yes, we'll probably only have 3 or 4 distribution beers.
Okay.
Maybe we might get to 5 one day.
Okay. Because I always recommend people to come into the tap room, even when I'm just talking about it, because this is where you can find the variety. And honestly, everything that I've had from you guys has been phenomenal.
Oh, well, thank you.
So
we'll do our best.
It sounds like keeping it small, distribution, maybe local, is trying to keep people coming, because you want people to come into the tap room. So
It's a
I
nice
definitely
place.
understand that. Yeah, no, I mean, the environment's great, and it doesn't help that the margins are better. So,
Yeah, right.
I mean,
So yeah, we'll hopefully we'll be able to grow the tap room. Here in the coming months, we'll open more days and have more to do here.
Right.
And you know, it's a nice place. Like I said, it's, you know, it's too good of a place to keep secret from everybody. So
for sure,
yeah,
for sure. One thing that I have noticed that you guys continue to do is you continue to brew beer to style versus what I've seen in the Dallas market as far as a lot of like additional flavors or adjuncts. Is that something that you're doing intentionally, or is it just because, hey, I have these recipes in the back of my pocket?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like, I'm not a complete traditionalist. I'm kind of a traditionalist, I guess.
Okay.
I like beer in my beer, you know.
Like beer that tastes like beer. I get it.
So, you know, I'm not saying I wouldn't use flavorings, natural extracts, and stuff like that. Not at all. I mean, I don't have, you know, I like beer that people do with those. You know, I don't think it's a bad thing to do, but yeah, I mean, my goal is just to make some, you know, some good beer that people enjoy. And, you know, if it comes down to it, you know, that's a fine thing to do. It's just not where we focus so far.
Right. No, and honestly, I like it. I like that you always have something, I shouldn't say something new. There's always something new, it seems like, on tap, and it's always just a new style. So it's not like new flavors of the same style that you guys have done, which may be an easy way to do it from a production aspect. So with that, do you have like an R&D process? Do you have like a small batch system that helps you like test things out before you decide to go into full production?
Sure, yeah. I mean, we can go back to our homebrew scale setup.
Oh, nice.
You know, and do pilots, and force carbonate them in corny kegs and stuff like that. We don't have kind of right now we don't have kind of a mid, you know, I'd love to be able to get a hold of a kind of a mid-range 1 or 2 barrel system that I could pilot things in the tap room a little bit better with. You know, making 5 or 10 gallons at a time just doesn't last very long in here.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because like when you do a full production batch, you have, what is it, a 10 barrel system? Okay. Yeah, so having a couple of barrels to do pilot batches on may be a little bit better.
Yeah, it'd be great in terms of...
Get a little bit more people to try it out at least, yeah.
Yeah, that would be great to get feedback. It's also, you know, space constraints.
Right.
One of the reasons I'm not going to do a whole lot of distribution beers is literally I don't have enough space in the walk-in to store that much beer, you know. So, you know, it would be really helpful to be able to do something kind of in between the 5 to 10 gallon, like, pilot batch, you know, something in between that and my production system that I'm using for distro. You know?
Right. Yeah, to have more of the smaller batches here on tap.
And I could brew them, you know, a lot more frequently then too.
For sure, and just beast them out. Yeah, no, I like that idea of the larger pilot system. So do you have a schedule of some kind? Like, how do you determine what you want to brew next? Is it just like you're going back to your homebrew days and going whatever I feel like at the moment, or?
Well, it's like, oh, we're running out of that beer, I must brew that beer.
Okay, nice.
And interleaved in that is, I mean, those are our distro beers.
Yeah.
So it actually takes me, you know, quite a bit of the schedule is filled up with just maintaining the distribution inventory.
For sure.
So in between that, it's like, hey, what beer are we going to do next? We have a long list of them that we want to do. So.
Oh, you do?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice. I may have to get a sneak peek of that long list here in a little bit.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, like I said, every time I come in, it seems like there's something new on tap, and it's always something that, like, the other local breweries don't typically have. Like, you guys do your stout and your porter, and they're both on nitro.
Right.
That's not something that you normally get locally. So
There's not a lot of nitro faucets out there.
Right. Did you decide to do those specifically nitro for a reason, just to like separate yourself, or what was the idea behind that?
Well, I like nitro beers. You know, like I said, there's not a lot of nitro faucets in the neighborhood. Maybe here in town, there's only like 4 or 5 nitro faucets between everybody that I can think of. So.
And usually it's Guinness that's on that nitro.
Sure, yeah, and rightly so, right? But the you know, so I thought, hey, I mean, we have 25 faucets in here, 10 of them are nitro, so I have to figure out something to do with 10 nitro faucets.
Okay.
Right. So, you know, stout and a porter is a good start, but I've got a lot left to figure out. Like a cream ale or something like that might be.
Oh, putting a cream ale on nitro. Okay. give it some extra creaminess. I mean, it sounds like a good idea to me.
Looks good.
I like that idea. I didn't realize half of you, or I shouldn't say half, 10 of the faucets are nitro. So yeah, you got some planning to do, it sounds like.
Yeah, we've got a lot of work to do there.
Because I don't think I've ever had anything outside of a stout on nitro until you put the porter on. And I was a little turned off at first because I had never had it. And I'm used to the extra bite from carbonation, but I like honestly, the things that I typically don't like about nitrous, I kind of like about it on the porter. The light, the creaminess, I like it all.
Yeah, it changes the beer a little bit.
Right.
I like carbon in my beer too, but we thought we'd make a solid offering of nitrogen beers. For
sure. So I like to ask this question: what do you guys want to be known for?
Quality beer, good beer. Like, that would be good enough.
Oh, that's it. Okay. So not like, because there's a lot of breweries out there that I've seen are like, we're known for a specific style of beer. Like we're known for IPAs, or we're known for fruited sours. It seems like regardless what you guys are going to be pumping out, expect high quality two-style stuff, which is what I've seen. Like I said, everything that I've had has been phenomenal. I know you guys recently released a pale ale.
Yes.
From what I understood, you guys decided to do that with Maris Otter as your base.
Correct.
What was the idea behind that?
Well, at first I bought a bunch of Maris Otter thinking I was going to do like an ESB or something like that.
Okay.
I couldn't get a hold of the right hops to do that, conveniently. So I was like, well, what am I going to do with all this Maris Otter? And I thought, well, let's make a pale ale out of it. That was really the thought process.
Oh, okay, cool. Just working with what you can get. So it does seem like the market, as far as what you can get in, dictates what you're going to be able to brew next.
In some regards, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you go and you're like, hey, give me some East Kent Goldings, and they say, we don't have any of those, then you go, okay, well, never mind, then I'm not going to brew that beer.
My plan changes all of a sudden. Yeah.
But,
which is weird that EKG isn't available, because that's a very common hop.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why it's not available, but.
Well, and I mean, it's just from my supplier at that time. It was like, well, never mind, I'm just going to use this Maris Otter to make a pale ale. And it turned out pretty good. I mean, people like it, so.
Yeah, no, I like the idea. It's something that I had never thought about. Usually when I'm brewing an American pale ale, I use American malts, but using Maris Otter, I mean, it's so close to some of the American like two-row that it's not too crazy of an idea. So I mean, I liked it. I liked it a lot, honestly. I thought that was great. So, man, dude, like I said, the beers that you guys push out have been phenomenal. One question I do have when it comes to like R&D, is it just your decision on, hey, I like this beer, so we're going to put it into mass production? I know you said you have some business partners. Do they have to put their stamp of approval on it before you get it out, or do they just put all their trust in you?
Pretty much, they might trust me too much, but
okay.
they trust me to handle the beer side of it. It's kind of a standing joke. It's like they try a new beer that we made, and it's like, hey, that's really good, and I'm like, hey, don't act so surprised about that, But yeah, they trust me to manage all of those aspects.
No, and that's great. It's great to be able to rely on somebody like that, and you haven't failed them yet.
Yeah.
So I understand why that trust is still there. This has been awesome. I think, do you want to go ahead and pour a beer?
Sure.
Geek out on it a little bit?
Of course.
Yeah, let's do that.
If you're looking to, emulate a specific beer or a specific style. I mean, styles are all over the place. So.
Right.
So a recipe for a red is going to be, I mean, honestly, like a red is only defined by its color more than anything, more than anything else. It's like, if it's red, then it's a red, but.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
This is where you're going to know way more about this than I will. So like for some reason, I like an Irish red, but for some reason, most like amber or like American reds, there's something about them that I just don't like. From what I understand, the difference between an Irish red and American red is where the hops and malts are like grown. What's the biggest difference? Is there like weird yeast or something? I don't know. I feel like Irish reds are more clean and crisp. I don't know if I'm crazy in saying that, but
I'm not sure. If you showed me a couple of examples, I might be able to nail it down for you. But
okay.
But yeah, I'm not really sure what the distinction actually is.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not
weird.
saying there's not one. I just do not know what it is.
Maybe that's all in my mind. I have no idea. But you poured us your porter, which this is my go-to every time I come. I get this first, and then I'll venture out to something else. So you got to tell me, why a porter? Was it just to fill up a nitro tap? Was that the reason behind it, or?
Well, so I released the stout. People like the stout. It's 8%.
Right.
I thought I needed something. Well, yes, I need something on nitro, but I really needed something. There was a question about whether I'd put the porter on nitro or not. But I needed something in the neighborhood of the stout that's kind of a lower ABV. This is a 5.5%.
Right.
So, it's a little bit.
Which I really like that it's 5.5% because I can have a few of them.
Yeah.
And you get all of the same flavor and body, mouthfeel. Or I shouldn't say all the same, but similar that you would out of a stout. Obviously not near as roasty, but that's kind of what I like about it. So I'm really glad that you guys did something that's a little bit lower ABV, because it is true, like stouts and porters typically are up there. And I don't want to get hammered every time I'm drinking one.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, especially in here, that's a very important thing, We want people to come in and enjoy beer, but, when you have a couple of pints of something, they slip right down and they're 10%. It's like, wow, okay. It's very easy to have too much beer.
Exactly. So is this one of those ones that you did at home? Is this a home brew that you perfected, or?
Yeah, sure. This is it's an American porter. There's nothing particularly innovative about what I'm doing here. It's just, kind of by the book as far as I'm concerned. Hopefully it's pretty solid. You like it? So.
I mean, honestly, that's the way I think most beers should be. They go, we're trying to stand out with this. And I'm like, I like what you told me earlier, where you're like, we're just trying to stand out by being known for good, high quality beer, which is awesome. It's weird that I haven't heard that from a lot of breweries in the area.
I'm a simple man. but hopefully, there's plenty of great breweries out of there. I mean, good beer, kind of table stakes for the industry, right?
Right.
And I admire all of the local breweries, but just hopefully making good, solid offerings is a good business plan.
No, and so far it's been phenomenal. So, man, making just high quality beer is a great idea. And so, with this, you're just a standard, your typical everyday porter, and
there's base crystals, some chocolate, and some oats in there, in case you're wondering. Yep.
The oats, honestly, so like I brewed during the winter, I did an oatmeal stout.
Oh yeah.
And honestly, I think it's the best quality beer that I think I've made.
Yep.
Not that I'm great at brewing by any means. Probably the best two style. And I've tried putting oats in other things recently. I know that you guys do an oatmeal blonde.
Yes.
Is there a reason why you decided to put oats in that blonde versus not, I guess?
It's, mouthfeel. I hadn't actually heard of an oatmeal blonde. Maybe some others are doing it. So, that's one I brewed at home also, and, I thought it would be good. It's, light in color. It's 6.2%, low in IBUs. So, it's our best-selling distribution beer,
right?
For sure. And here it's kind of neck and neck with the light lager. That we don't distribute the light lager, so
right.
I think it's a pretty approachable beer for people who are either new to craft or they just want something that's kind of low in bitterness and a nice, nice. It's a robust beer. It's got a lot of flavor to it, but
No, I do agree. It gives it a lighter, like, creamier mouthfeel, which I really like about it. So what went into your decision making on your core 3?
Well, to be honest, I felt we needed, like I said, the kind of like an approachable beer for people who, are either new to craft or they just, like I said about the blonde, it's just,
right.
It's kind of a very approachable beer for people. The amber, the Texas penny copper, we call it, because of its color, it doesn't have pennies in it. It's
right.
Like half the people that taste it think they taste pennies or
copper. Get out of here.
Yeah, there is no copper in the beer, but yeah, we named it that because of the color of the beer. But that beer is pretty by the book as as it stands. It's a lower ABV. It's 4.1%, and I think 37 IBUs. So it's pretty. Kind of down the middle. A lot of people do like that beer. We have our fans of it,
right.
And they either come in here or they're out in just where it's in distribution. And I've talked to a lot of people that are just that's the one that they prefer from us.
For sure.
And then I personally decided to make a West Coast IPA.
Nice.
Just in case nobody liked my beer, I'd have something to drink for myself. So,
okay.
But. It's a pretty good offering too.
So was that your go-to style, West Coast IPA?
Yeah, like back in the day.
Okay.
Sure.
No, it's the thing, because when I got started in a craft beer, I drank like nothing but Shiner Bock only, and then I ventured out to like Hefeweizens and wheat beers, and then I found IPAs, and I gravitated towards the West Coast style. Granted, there wasn't as much New England back then. I say back then, I haven't been drinking for that long, but
yeah, well, it is fairly new, right?
I mean, it is. Is that something that you guys have plans for at some point, or?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of breweries here, at least in the Dallas area, that are real heavy on IPAs.
Oh yeah.
And there's like a huge trend where like I go to the beer store and it's like, I feel like 80 to 90% of these beers are IPAs. Some of them are West Coast, but most of them I feel are these New England like fruity styles, which I'm not mad at.
Seasonal.
Yep. Right. I'm not mad at them by any means, but again, if you want a beer that tastes like beer, that's not what you're going to get out of that.
Well, and there's some great examples down there, like at Odd Muse, for instance. They make some just amazing hazies and stuff like that. I really do enjoy. And yeah, I mean, I think the market up here would, the people up here that come in would enjoy those too.
Right.
They're not particularly shelf stable beers.
For
so
sure.
You need to make quantities that you can probably turn over pretty quick.
That's where that pilot,
yeah, so that would be
that 2-barrel pilot system would come into play.
That would be great.
Yeah,
for those beers. But yeah, for sure, I would love to try I don't have a lot of experience with that style, but I'd like to try.
Right.
Try it out.
It's nice to hear that it's like, no, I like a West Coast. That's why I put one on tap. Because that's what I like.
I mean, if I don't like the beer, you're not going to find out about it.
For sure.
Like, so I haven't had a bad batch in here yet, fingers crossed.
Right.
But, like if I don't think it's great beer, then I'm not putting it on tap.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess that should go without saying probably. But.
Do you have any plans of experimenting with, say, that IPA and just using different hops?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we could that particular IPA is it's one of our distros, so I do strive for consistency there.
For sure.
As far as like broadening out the IPA offerings here in the tap room, yes, we have plans to do that for sure.
Okay. Nice. Because I mean, like I said, I love that you guys do different styles because I don't get all these styles everywhere. So I love that. If I'm being honest, I love that like not 50 to 60% of your taps are IPAs, which is what I see at some places.
Yeah.
I don't fault them for it. They're brewing what sells.
Yeah. People like it. We run out, we make more, but yeah.
Right.
And that's really the test, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's what I was wondering is that something that you've seen your clientele go, hey, this is what we want? Or have they been like, whatever you have on tap, we're going to drink because we know it's good quality?
Not so much. I haven't been pushed much to do hazies and juicies. I've been pushed a lot more for different styles.
Nice. Sounds like you have a more sophisticated clientele, at least.
We do attract a good craft beer drinking crowd in here.
Nice.
And they all have their requests.
Yeah, I can imagine.
That's how our list got so long. So for sure, I'm gonna try to make beer that, make a beer. There's not every beer is for everybody, but hopefully we make something that you do like.
Right. Yeah, because I noticed that you guys your pale ale and you did an imperial red are a little higher in ABV. Mm-hmm. Do you do that on purpose? Is that something that is intentional? I want this to be a little bit higher in ABV. If they want to drink something light, they can go to our amber or our
I'm targeting.
blonde?
Yeah, I'm targeting something in the spectrum.
Okay.
I'm trying to fill out the ABV spectrum. If that makes
okay, I
sense.
gotcha.
So,
yeah.
So, I'm hoping, to have some more beers in the 5% range here pretty soon.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot right now. There's a few people that come in here that are like, hey, make something even lower ABV, like something in the 3% range, and I would like to do that. I think that's one, metric for variety that you could look at. It's like, hey, when I go to a place, do they only have a 10% beer on tap?
Right. Right.
So, hopefully we can continue to broaden that out.
Right.
Yeah, we've been open taproom's been open for about 6 months. So.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah. So
I feel like it's been longer than that.
Yeah. So since last October. So
really?
Is, I think,
okay.
7 months. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. It seems like it's been longer than that, but I guess I've been coming since you guys opened, so that definitely helps. I've heard other brewers or owners say that, hey, our goal is to get people in the door and keep them in, keep them here, because the longer they're here, the more money they're spending, the more money I'm making. So it's like I usually gravitate towards the lower ABV beers.
Right.
So I can chill out, and when the environment's good, you want to stay here, and the environment always seems great. Mm-hmm. I'm a people watcher, so I have noticed that the high ABV doesn't deter people, and it doesn't keep people. It still keeps them here. Like, they're not getting hammered by any means. So I do agree. You do have a more educated clientele.
We have a very special group that comes in here.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very nice.
Yeah, which makes it. I'm sure it makes it easier for you, because they'll drink just about anything you decide to put out, versus I'm only wanting IPAs, or I only want fruit in my beer.
Yeah, usually people, our regulars, which last I looked are about 60% of our business or so, are people that are coming back, as far as I can tell.
That's what you want.
Yeah, I think that's good. And they, usually people have a favorite.
Yeah.
And so they'll come in and they'll get the same thing after but if I put, if I make something new, those same people will try that new thing.
Right.
And that may become their new favorite, right? But
for sure. So I mean, as you know, the porter's my favorite. I think it's the best beer that you guys brew. I don't mean that to sound like the other beers aren't great. They definitely are. This is just my favorite. And I know you do it on nitrous. Is there? Have you ever thought about throwing it on CO2 just to see what the vibe is? Or
yeah, sure. I think it would be great on CO2.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm curious to try those side by side. I've never.
Yeah, maybe next time I'll do. Maybe next time I'll split it.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. I mean, you got to use those nitrous kegs, so it only makes sense. And like I said, I'm not mad at it. Even on nitrous, it's still good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like the smoothness, the creaminess of it, and I think it helps that you put oats in it, which I think will still allow it to have a smoothness to it, even if you do have it on nitro. Even if you do have it on CO2.
Yeah, it would be good on CO2.
Yeah. So, man, sure. I really appreciate you sitting down with me. The beers you do are phenomenal. Is there anything that you have that are that's in the works to come out like here in the near future?
We should have a Kolsch on tap here in the next week or two.
Okay. So by the time this comes out, come get the Kolsch.
Yeah. Hopefully people that don't know about the tap room being open or don't know about our beer at all, they'll see this and want to come in.
Right.
By the time you come in, I've got 25 faucets and about 9 beers right now, so I'm trying to, I got a lot more work to do.
You got to fill those faucets,
Yes.
my man.
Yes,
So you need more people to come in and buy beer, so it gives you a reason to continue to fill those faucets.
Yes, yeah, that would help actually. So, but yeah, hopefully we'll be doing a lot of new releases on a consistent basis, and the idea is just to create enough variety for people to come in and find something that they do like.
Right. Right. So you'll release those or announce those releases on social media. You're just under @Say When.
Say When Brewing Company.
Say When Brewing Company.
Yeah, if you follow us on Facebook or Instagram.
Sweet.
We'll announce all of our releases.
Awesome. Well, I'll put that information in a link in the description, so everybody needs to go follow these guys. They do, like I said, they're beer that tastes like beer, and it's 2 styles. So you want good quality beer, come to Say When. Come check out the environment. It's always been fun. Every time I come in here, like, your bartender's great, and what I guess you're calling regulars, they're always nice and friendly, helps with the environment. It's been great. So thank you for doing what you do and opening this place, because it is phenomenal, and an establishment that everybody needs to know about.
I appreciate that.
So, yeah, man. Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
We appreciate you guys tuning in for another episode of Dudes and Brews. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever platform you're on, we're on there. We have a YouTube channel, Dudes and Brews. We would love if you would subscribe there as well. If you are subscribed and you want to help us out just a little more, unsubscribe and resubscribe again. It sounds funny and stupid and kind of obnoxious, all of the subscribing and resubscribing and stuff, but it helps in these little algorithms games for like climbing the charts, because again, we are organic and we are where we are because of you guys.
Yeah, we really do appreciate your support. Shout us out. We really do love it when you guys interact with us, when you add us, mention us, put us on your stories, tag us, all that fun stuff, all the stuff the kids are doing. We like grabbing that stuff and we put it up for you guys. So we appreciate you so much. Keep having fun, drinking them brews, hanging with them dudes. Tune in next week for another episode of Dudes and Brews.